Verona is a city on the banks of the Adige River in Veneto, northeast Italy. It is a famed tourist destination and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Verona has been promoted by Englishman William Shakespeare. Both the plays Romeo and Juliet and The Two Gentlemen of Verona feature the city. As Romeo once said, "There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world, and the world's exile is death." To learn more about La Bella Italia, consider subscribing. Verona was always a key location to cross the Adige River. This strategic crossing joined multiple strategic roads. The origins of Verona are of course disputed. Any one of the Arosnates, Raetians, Euganei may have made way for the Cenomani from France Gaul around 550 BC. Verona was an ally of ancient Rome, becoming a Roman colony in 89 BC. Verona joined the Romans to resist the advantage Teutones, the Germanic tribe, and Cimbri, a Germanic or Celt tribe. The river crossing was replaced by two bridges, including Parthumius Bridge, which was also an aqueduct. The water, as transported, was used for naval battles in the arena. The city boasted a forum near Piazza delle Erbe, and the famous arena was built at this time. Emperors frequently lived in Verona, and Julius Caesar took a holiday here. Christianity was beginning to stir in Verona. Alaric I, king of the Visigoths, invaded northern Italy from Dalmatia in 403. Alaric was beaten back from Verona by the Roman general Stilicho. A campaign by Attila the Hun was halted near Verona by a group organised by Pope Leo I in 452. As the Western Roman Empire fell in 476, Verona was one of the last strongholds of Odoacer against the Ostrogoth army of Theodoric the Great. Theodoric built his key palaces in both Verona and nearby Ravenna. Verona remained under Gothic rule during the Gothic War of 535 to 552, and Verona only surrendered as the Goth rule finally collapsed in 552. In 569, Verona fell to Albion, king of the Lombards, before he in turn was assassinated in 572. Adalgisus made his desperate last stand in Verona against Charlemagne in 774. At times, Verona was controlled by either the Duchy of Carinthia, Austria, or the Duchy of Bavaria, Germany. The increasing wealth of medieval Verona was defended by its set of defensive towers. In 1164, Verona joined the Veronese League, which included Vicenza, Padova and Treviso, and later the Lombard League in 1167. The Lombard League defeated Frederick I Barbarossa at the Battle of Legnano in 1176. The Guelphs and the Ghibellines emerged in Verona due to the tension between the Pope and the Emperor. Ezzelino III da Romano massacred 11,000 people from Padua on the Campi de Verona in 1257. Verona was at war against the counts of San Bonifacio and the House of Este. Cangrande I was a soldier prince who promoted artists such as Dante, Petrarch and Giotto. His rule increased the sphere of influence to include Padova, Treviso and Vicenza. Verona under the family della Scala was rich, powerful and defended by brand new walls. Verona now controlled Brescia, Parma and Lucca. A league of city-states was formed in 1337. Florence, Venice, the Visconti of Este and the Gonzaga battled the Scala family of Verona for areas of control until only Verona and Vicenza were left, alone and isolated. Cangrande II was a cruel and incompetent tyrant who unwisely relied upon mercenaries to maintain his power. He was killed by his brother, Cansignoria, who built aqueducts and bridges and formed a state treasury. Cansignoria was in turn killed by his brother, Paolo Alboino. Brother continued to kill brother until Antonio fled Verona in 1387. So ended the Scala dynasty. The Battle of Castagnaro saw John Hawkwood of Padova defeat Giovanni Odelati of Verona in 1387. Verona swore loyalty to Venice in 1405. Plague struck between 1511 and 1512. Emperor Maximilian I, who is known as Maximilian the Moneyless, tried to make Verona the capital of a German kingdom in northern Italy. Instead, the control of Verona passed to Charles V of Spain, and then to France, and then to Venice. Venice invested heavily in the fortifications of Verona as its mainland stronghold. A period of peace, growth and cultural development for Verona was to follow. Michele Sanmicheli, the greatest Venetian architect of his time, designed many of the buildings in Verona. Verona would suffer again from outbreaks of the plague between 1629 and 1633. Napoleon occupied Verona in 1797, but the popular uprising Veronese Easter drove the French out of the city. As the Venetian Republic fell in 1797, Verona now fell into Austrian hands. It changed hands between the French and the Austrians before finally becoming part of the Kingdom of Lombardy Venezia upon Napoleon's defeat in 1814. The Third Italian War of Independence in 1866 saw the key Austrian stronghold of Verona to become part of United Italy as the Austrians fled. A flood in 1882 led to the redevelopment of large parts of the ancient city that were based around the riverbank. Fascism was a dark chapter in the history of Verona. The Austrian fort on the site of Santuario della Madonna di Lourdes was used to hold and interrogate Allied troops, Jews and anti-fascists. After 1943, Verona became part of the Italian Social Republic, also known as the Republic of Salo, a German puppet state. Verona was heavily bombed during World War II. Half of the city was either destroyed or damaged. Galeazzo Ciano, the son-in-law of Benito Mussolini, underwent a show trial in 1944 at Castelvecchio, which was known as the Verona Trial. He was on trial for conspiring against the German rulers. Ciano was executed on the banks of the Adige River, along with a number of other officers. The fleeing Germans destroyed all the bridges. The Shakespearean tragedy about two young star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet, has made Verona famous. Their doomed love has disastrous consequences for both of the families, the Montague and the Capulets. As the play says, from forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. Do not miss the following in Verona. Piazza dell'Erbe, the market square, which was rebuilt by Cangrande I and Cansignorio della Scala I, reusing marble from Roman spas and villas. Verona's famous amphitheatre, the Arena, is in Piazza Bra. The arena is largely intact and in active use for theatre, open-air opera, particularly Aida, and pop concerts during the summer. The Gavi Arch was built in the 1st century AD. It was destroyed by French troops in 1805 and subsequently rebuilt in 1932. The Basilica of San Zeno Maggiore was built in the 1100s on top of a 4th century shrine to Verona's patron saint, St. Zeno, a martyr. It receives a mention in the Divine Comedy by Dante. Visit Juliet's balcony, which looks suspiciously very modern. And repeat the lines. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Visit the Gothic Scala tombs. Piazza dei Signori has a statue of the famous poet Dante. Enjoy the view of Torre dei Lamberti, but can you walk up the steps? And you'll be pleased to know Verona is an area popular for winemaking. Tim Parks wrote the book A Season with Verona. One of the movies filmed in Verona was Letters to Juliet, starring Amanda Seyfried. Emilio Salgari was from Verona. He wrote swashbuckling tales, and his work remains very popular in Italy.